once you've selected your enemy objects, you now have to create conditions between these two objects. Remember, when we're creating video games, everything is its own separate object, and it's up to us as programmers to create the conditions between these objects to make them function how we want to function. So in order to create conditions for our objects, at the top of the screen you'll notice a grid shaped icon. This is the event editor. It looks like this. Now you can get to the event editor by holding on the control button and pressing E, or you can just simply click on the icon. You can see that our screen changes over here to the right. This is where we can create the conditions for our event. To create a new condition, we'll simply right click next on the line that we need to create a new condition. As you can see, we don't have any conditions set up so far, so we're going to right click on line number 1. Now remember, I said we're going to create a condition between our two objects, which is going to be the blue arrow and our enemy object. So now to create conditions between these objects, I'm simply going to right click on one of them. I'm going to start with the blue hero, and I'm going to go down collision, because I'm going to create a collision condition between these two objects. So I want to make a collision between another object, and of course that other object is going to be our enemy object. Now you can see I have on line number 1, I have a statement that reads as this: in the event of a collision between our blue diamond hero and our enemy object, something must happen. So I want our blue diamond hero to bounce off of our enemy object. So to do that, I'm going to locate the line or the tab that our blue diamond hero is located on this grid. I'm going to right click there. I'm going to go down to movement, and I'm going to select bounce. So as you can see, I have a sentence that reads, now when in the condition that there's a collision between our blue diamond hero and our enemy object, the blue diamond hero is going to bounce. So now I want to test this out. So remember, when we want to test any aspect of our application, we'll simply push the F7 button at the top of our keyboard. Now I want you to move your blue diamond hero over to your enemy object, and as you can see, when he hits it, it'll bounce off of it. So it gives a sense of physics to your enemy object. Now I want you to go ahead and close out of your testing application tab, and now we have to create another condition. So in most video games, you have to have a way to destroy your enemy. As you can see, the condition that we created when we run our blue diamond hero into our enemy, it's going to bounce. Let's give him a projectile so that he can destroy the enemy when it gets touched by the projectile. So in order to add a projectile object, we must return to our frame editor. Remember, there are two ways that we can go to our frame editor. We can click on this icon up top, or we can hold on the control button and press M, and it'll take us back to our frame editor. From our frame editor, we then have to insert a projectile object to be shot out by our blue diamond hero. To do this, we'll simply locate an object in our local library. So I want you to go down to your local library, and under the games options, I want you to locate where it says miscellaneous. From miscellaneous, I want you to go over to the right, and you'll notice something that says games shoot 'em up bullets. I want you to double click and open up that folder. I then want you to select a projectile that you want to add to your blue diamond hero. To do this, you want to take your projectile and you want to place it on the off-screen area of your screen. Remember, the off-screen area is where we're going to place items that are not always going to be on our screen. Remember, our bullet is only going to be needed when we press a certain key to shoot out that bullet. Other than that, it's not going to be on the screen, so that means it must be placed on the off screen or the gray area of our frame editor. Once we have our projectile selected, we're then going to return to our event editor by clicking on the grid looking icon at the top of our screen, or by pressing control and holding on it and pressing E. It's going to return us to our event editor. Now from our event editor, we must create a condition that's going to get our blue diamond hero to shoot out a projectile. Now in order to do that, we must create a new condition. Remember, when we're creating new conditions, we simply right click on the line we're creating the new condition on, and then from there we're going to select what we need to do. So usually when we're shooting projectiles, there's a button on our keyboard that we press. Now, in order to activate our keyboard from our event editor, we have this keyboard and mouse icon. I want you to right click on that icon. I want you to go over to where it says keyboard, and as you can see, you have several options under keyboard. You have upon pressing a key, repeat while key is pressed, and upon pressing any key. I want you to go to upon pressing a key. Alright, once you do this, this window will pop up that says upon pressing a key, and it's saying press a key. So I want you to choose which button you want to be your shoot button. I'm going to choose the space bar to be my shoot button. And after you select the key that you're going to press, you now have on line 2, you have a line that says upon pressing space bar, something is supposed to happen. Now, if you've been paying attention to the patterns in the way that the software works, you'll know that we want our blue diamond hero to shoot out something when we press our key button, because that is our main character. So we're going to go to the tab under our blue diamond hero on line 2. So make sure you're on line 2. We're going to go to the tab located under our blue diamond hero right here. We're going to right click on it, and then we're going to go down to where it says launch an object. Alright, and then a window will pop up. So now as you can see, we placed our bullet that we selected from our local library is located on this menu. So we want our blue object or our blue bullet object or whatever projectile that you selected to be shot out upon pressing whatever your shoot button is. This menu right here pops up. It gives you the speed of the object. You also can choose the direction of active. So that's telling you that whatever way that your enemy or that your main character is facing, it's going to shoot an object in that direction. You also have launch in selected directions, where you can have it actually preset a direction for the object to be shot from your main character, and then also you can have it track launch in the direction of. So if you press a button, it'll launch in the direction of another object or a position that you place it. So for right now, we're just going to keep it simple. We're going to select the first direction option. We're going to use a speed of 100, and we're going to select OK. So now on line 2 in our event editor, we have upon pressing the space bar, our blue diamond hero is going to launch a projectile at the speed of 100, and that is going to be in the direction that it is facing. So now I want you to press your F7 window testing key or application testing key to see what that does. Okay, and as you can see, when I press the space bar, my blue diamond hero, it shoots the projectile at the enemy object. But as you can see, nothing happens. Our projectile goes completely through our enemy object. So that tells us a couple of things. So let's go ahead and close out our application testing. Remember, we're creating collision conditions between objects, and your projectile is an object as well. So think about, what is the collision condition that we have to create between what two objects? Well, if you've been paying attention, you will know that the collision condition that you must create on line 3 is a condition between your projectile and your enemy object. So you're simply going to right click under new condition. You're going to select your projectile. You're going to right click on it. Then you're going to go to collision and another object, and of course that other object is going to be your enemy object. Now on line 3, you have a sentence that reads, when there is a collision between our projectile and our enemy object, something must happen to something. So you see we have nothing checked over here. So what would you think we would check under? What would be the item that we would check under what tab? Well, if you've been paying attention, you would know that we're going to go under the tab of the object that's going to be manipulated. So when there's a collision between our projectile and our enemy object, then our enemy we're going to be on enemy tab, must do something. Now most of the time in video games, when an enemy gets hit by a projectile, he dies. So we're going to right click under the tab, under line 3, under the tab with our enemy on there. We're going to go down to where it says destroy. Now on line 3 we have a sentence that reads, when there is a collision between our projectile and our enemy is going to get destroyed. Now let's press F7 and test this. So now you can see I'm going to move in the direction of my enemy, and when I hit him with the projectile, he disappears or is destroyed. So now that you know how to create collision conditions, I want you to test it out. I want you to create 3 separate enemies, and I want you to create collision conditions so that when they get hit by whatever projectile that you select, they will get destroyed. Boss up and get to work.